Okay, we're going to replace the serpentine belt on this 3-liter 2000 Dodge Caravan. First step here for safety, I like to take the battery, disconnect the negative on the battery. Anytime I'm working around a belt, I don't want any chance, unlikely though it may be, that the engine could turn over. Safety first. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is we have to remove the power steering, or the air conditioning belt here. I'm going to be using a 15mm box end wrench, getting it on this nut here, and then loosening it. And this is basically a lock nut. When this is loosened, we'll be able to turn the adjusting nut. It's loose. Now we're going to get a 13mm and get at this adjusting nut here. What I have here is a socket with a swivel adapter on the end after the 13mm, and then a 6-inch extension. That gives you plenty of length which to get in there. I'm going to loosen it, turn it counterclockwise. Let's see if that's enough. It takes quite a few turns to get this down far enough. Get this loosened up enough so the air conditioning belt will turn off there. And there we are. Air conditioning belt on its way. Okay, so as we look at the serpentine belt, and there's the alternator right here. If you go down below that a little bit, you'll see the tensioner. You can see that nut there. That's a 15mm nut right down here. That's the tensioner. There's another pulley right here, which is just like a deflector. Put some deflection on the belt to keep it tight. And below that, down there further, you see the power steering pump. And if you go in this direction, and on here is the crank itself. So those are the items that the belt has to go around. Okay, so what we need to do now is get this tensioner pulled back in order to get the belt off. What I like to use is a 15mm double box end, and this thing's about 9.5 inches long. An idea that I've come up with here that works pretty good is I use an S-hook. I'm going to put this through here from this direction and hook this on a support down here, an engine support. There it is. Now the idea with this, you can see this here, it's hooked. You can see this better from this angle. You can see I've got this hooked through the box end and down underneath that engine mount, upper engine mount there. And what that does is take enough of the tension off the belt. Simply slip it off. Slipped it right off of the alternator. We'll just remove this now. Pops it back up, and then we can take the wrench off of there and get the new belt. Okay, so we have our replacement belt ready. And to start with, we're going to feed it through. Put it underneath, seat it as best we can underneath the, around the crankshaft first, then the power steering pump. And after we get that, which is easier said than done, after we get those seated, then we're going to bring it up over the tensioner. Here's the routing diagram. So you notice now you have it under the crankshaft pulley. You have it under the power steering pump. And then what you need to do is pull it up over the tensioner after that. So right now I've got it on those two. And pull it up now, while trying to also keep it on the pump, crankshaft and pump. Now pull it up and set it over, and it's going to tend to move off. And I got it pulled up, and now back over the tensioner. As you can see, there's going to be some slack right here. Now in putting the belt back on, you can do it by yourself with one hand like this, but what I find is useful, little trick here, is to use an S-hook. And I went ahead and got the right size here. This is like 2.5 inches, I believe. What you do then is you can lock it in place on this engine mounting bracket here. Okay. And when you've done that, if you'll notice, now all I have to do is slip the belt up over the top of the alternator, take the wrench back out, and it's on there. And that's just a little trick. Another one that I've picked up over the years is using a stubby screwdriver and sticking that through here and underneath the mount again, which will hold that wrench down. Okay, finally, of course, putting the air conditioning belt back on. Slide it through there. Around the crankshaft. Around the air conditioner. And up over the tension pulley. Okay. So again, this one's 13 millimeter. Now we're going to bring it into where the deflection on here is maybe ½ inch mid-belt. Pretty typical of a belt. Okay. Once you have the deflection, about a ½ inch mid-belt, break out the 15 millimeter, tighten up the lock nut on this adjuster pulley. When you get that good and tight, put the battery back on and we'll test it. Okay, making sure the belt's running through, staying on there. Everything's running as it should be. So if we've done it. Thanks for watching.